From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a big evening of evenings, Lalate, with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, as this channel celebrates its 2-year anniversary tonight. Over this special 2-hour, yes, you heard me right, 2-hour broadcast, we'll go over the latest breaking news about your fourth stimulus check, as new checks have landed and more checks will be landing this week by direct deposit. And then the second hour, we'll have the anniversary special with a special appearance by a special guest. Oh, I wonder who will be. Watch the lawn in the front yard. In this recording, we'll go over the incredible great news of what's at issue with the Build Back Better Act, but don't wait for that, because guess what? Fourth stimulus checks are landed by direct deposit. Yes, a lot of executive order fourth stimulus presidential checks have landed by direct deposit, and more will be coming. Why is that? All the latest analysis brand new tonight for April 25th, 2022. Then we went from 2 states, now we're to 20 states. We're going to have more thereafter setting out their state fourth stimulus checks. It's huge. Then on Sunday, President Macron reelected in France. The first time a sitting president has been reelected in president in France for many decades, and it's huge news for, yes, your 6th stimulus. All the latest details on that horizon. Then, why will Build Back Better Act get done sooner than later? All the latest breaking tonight. SS300. The changing developing details on that big SS300. Why Jay Powell and his group is likely to get it wrong, and why it's good for your benefit. So all the latest details tonight. Then we'll be turning over to the changing developing details as Republicans, Democrats, presidential candidates, congressional leaders, and state leaders all trying to set out stimulus at the same time. Why is it the midterm election? Get your calendar ready, because CounterCon will have for you the details of why we're just days away for a lot of announcements across the board. And then we'll be turning to what we learned over the last 2 years of this channel. It's a special 2-hour broadcast. First about your breaking news, and then about the history of this channel. And you're going to see stuff you never saw before. Get ready to be shocked. It's Evenings, Lalate, and the details start on the 2-year anniversary 2-hour special starting right now. Good evening, everybody. It's a big night. It's April 25th, 2022, and it's the 2-year anniversary of this channel. Over the next 2-hour broadcast, you heard me right, 2-hour broadcast, we'll go over the 1-hour telecast right now about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. And then right after this video, you'll go right into the anniversary special, a 1-hour special that gives you footage you've never seen before, behind the scenes on this channel. And then the second half hour will be myself sitting down with Sir Lloyd and going over stuff you never knew about what goes on in the making of LA. But tonight, what's going on in the making of fourth stimulus checks? Lots of them, both presidential and also state stimulus checks. What's important to remember is that when you think about stimulus checks, you'll often think about them coming only from Congress, but now they're coming from your states. They're coming from your president, and we're just getting started. Over this broadcast, we got a lot of money to go over. But first, we're going to go over the breaking news tonight on the Build Back Better Act and what's important to know about what's going on. A lot of insiders, a lot of breaking news about Build Back Better Act. It's all good, and it starts right now. First, insiders of the White House signal that the Build Back Better Act will go to front and center, front burner, and get done in the next few weeks. Why? Because of the midterm elections. The White House insider in a series of new interviews says that the White House wants to refocus its agenda back on domestic policy, your money, stimulus, as Americans are ready for those midterm elections in November. But let's remember, let's look at the calendar. You don't just vote on election night, you vote by mail. The mail ballots come 2 months earlier. That means that we're back to September, which means that if we're going to have a check go out, it goes out in August, which means that if we have the vote, we have the vote lined up by June. The solution at issue, the negotiations done by May. Here we go. Now, the second part of that analysis is that they're refocusing the agenda of the White House back on domestic policy. But minutes ago, once again, the second time in 1 week, Janet Yellen says we need another $500 million for Ukraine. This is where the messaging is getting mixed up. Because every time Janet Yellen says another $500 million for Ukraine, it looks like the attention's not here, it's over there. And Anthony Blinken, your Secretary of State, is in Ukraine right now where they're trying to get additional sums of money for the United States. Mixed messaging. Let's hope the president stays on messaging. Now, what the insider says is that the U.S. economy is going to slow down by the end of the year. This is good news for Build Back Better Act, because remember what we learned over the last 2 years of this channel, that congressional leaders want to give you money when the economy is not particularly doing as strongly as some people projected. And where is that tonight? Exactly the case. Wall Street's expecting by the end of the year that the gross national product, how large the U.S. economy will be at 4%. Compared to right now, where is that? It's a major drop, because Wall Street projected the GDP, the gross national product of the U.S. economy, less than 2 weeks ago at 7%. What did the number come in right this month? 6.9%. So currently we're tracking lower than expectations, 6.9, not 7%. And by the end of the year, shrinking to 4%. GDP is so critical for you, if you understand, because remember, a negative number means recession, negative 1%, negative 2%. Recession. Approaching to a zero, let's say 1% or 2%, means you're getting close to recession. So what did the White House say in that insider off the record in the last few days? That White House insider said that we're shrinking to 3.7% by the end of the year. Ouch. A lot of things that are fascinating about that. The first one is that if we're shrinking to 3.7% by the end of the year, then Wall Street has over-anticipated how good the economy will be by the end of the year. Not as strong as many people initially thought. That is the first point. The second point is that if we're shrinking from 6% right now to 3.7%, there's something not working. The White House insider said that the U.S. numbers are good because South Korea, by the end of the year, the White House projected would be 2.5%, United Kingdom 3.7%, and Germany 2.1%. I don't co-sign that at all, because guess what? We're a bigger economy. We should be doing better. So those comments were likely off the record because it shows that something in the White House is not working. And that's good news for Build Back Better. If the economy is shrinking, the GDP numbers going down, that's more reason to get you stimulus. The Build Back Better Act is a bill for forced stimulus relief. But the President of the United States is sending out forced stimulus checks that have landed by direct deposit. Those are presidential forced stimulus checks. And have you got to them? In this recording, I'm going to go over how you get them. But if you haven't become a member right now. The membership link is at the top of the chat, the pinned comment, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Because the members of this channel are getting these other checks by direct deposit now. They're presidential forced stimulus checks, and guess what? There's others of them brand new tonight. They're coming up late in this video. It's exciting. But continuing with Build Back Better Act, what's going on? Well, they would need the negotiations to wrap up by May if they get that check out before the midterm elections. Now, what's also heating up that overlaps with Build Back Better Act is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, you're not going to hear from the governors or the chair, Jay Powell, this week, because now we're in the silence period. They talked a lot last week. Now they're in the silence period in which they get ready for the May FOMC meeting. We already know what they're going to do. Half basis point. I projected it 2 weeks ago. What's going to happen after that? Another half basis point thereafter. Are they going to do 3/4 of a basis point? That was a question posed last Friday. One of the Fed governors said, no, we're never going to do 3/4. We're just going to do potentially more months of half. Half will work. The concept is the following. Inflation is tracking too high, and the Federal Reserve's job is to reduce inflation. How? By raising up interest rates. And the guy behind it is Jay Powell. And the next FOMC meeting, May, is lined up, half basis point. But what does this do for your benefits? Joe Biden, when running for president of the United States, and then his presidential platform at JoeBiden.com, said that he could swap COLA for inflation. Why is this so helpful for you? Because if you swap COLA for inflation, your benefits go up. Your benchmark is assessed every December, and that benchmark is currently COLA. It doesn't work. What happens? Well, last December, the COLA benchmark was 5%. And your benefits went up 5%, not just that month, not just this year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. But you got cheated because the inflation rate at the time was 8%. Your benefits should have gone up 8%. So Joe Biden's promise to swap COLA for inflation. So if Joe Biden made that swap from COLA to inflation today for April 25th, 2022, what would happen? And what would happen later this year? Let's go over the analysis right now. It looks like everything has fallen exactly where projected on this channel. Last summer, I said that inflation was going to fall to 8% by the end of 2021. Wall Street and the Federal Reserve said, no, it's going to be lower and it's going to be temporary. They got it wrong. I got it right. 8% it was in December last year. Then what happened in January? It did not go down. It stayed as hot as I said it was going to stay. 8% January, 8% February inflation rate. By March, they said it was going to come down. They said, no, it's going to go higher. And it did go higher. The Consumer Price Index number released days ago signaled that the inflationary rate went up in the month of March. This is great news for your benefits if you're on Social Security, SSI, veterans benefits, or anything like that. Because if Joe Biden makes that swap from COLA to inflation today, or at least cause the Social Security Administrator head to make the swap, then you lock in $200 more per month right now. Not just this month, not just this year, but a lifetime. And what about the end of the year? I'm tracking inflation coming in at 4% by the end of the year. J-PAL has it 1.9%. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 4%. That would raise your benefits up another $100. That's SS300. So that's what I'm projecting. What is J-PAL saying across the board? Well, J-PAL is looking at those inflation numbers that came with the CPI just days ago. And they showed in the month of February to March, runaway inflation. Energy prices went up 11% in 1 month, folks, from the month of February to March. Then the price of fresh fruits, vegetables, and grains went up 3%. The price of general foods went up 2%. And that signals that inflation is actually higher now than it was in the month of February. In fact, the core CPI number was about 0.3% higher. Good news for you, because if Joe Biden makes that swap from COLA to inflation tonight, you'd get that $200 more per month. He's done this before. He reached out to the head of Department of Agriculture in October last year, saying you're not paying enough money for SNAP. Make the swap. They made the swap. He's done it with Department of Education, saying make these changes to those loans. It's coming up later in this video. All he has to do is make one phone call to the Social Security Administrator head, say swap that COLA for inflation. And if they do that right today, you'd lock in that $200 more per month. Now, what's going on with Jay Powell? He believes that he's going to bring down that inflation dramatically quickly to a very low number by the end of the year. What is the breaking news today? And what is my projection as well? The breaking news today is that Wall Street was down 200 points today because they believe that there'll be further lockdowns in Europe, not just China, caused by supply chain disruption or causing supply chain disruption caused by the some variant of Omicron. The reason, in my opinion, why Jay Powell's not going to be able to get down inflation is all that he's going to give you is higher interest rates is because there's not one, not two, but 3 supply chain disruptions tonight. The Federal Reserve believes that by raising interest rates, it can get down inflation. I don't think it's going to happen because the supply chain disruption tonight is so severe. What are the supply chain disruptions? We have 3 of them. The first one was coming out of COVID. The second one was Vladimir Putin. The third one tonight is a subvariant of Omicron. And the breaking news tonight from the shores of China to the shores of Europe, there's new concerns that we could have a major lockdown across the board. Let me make something clear to you, which has not been made clear in previous videos. While we have vaccination in the United States, a lot of parts of China and a lot of countries don't do a lot of vaccinations. And the subvariant of Omicron goes right through any 1 vaccination or 2 vaccinations. So this supply chain disruption is very severe. What is supply chain disruption? It means you can't get the products from there to where it has to go. We make a lot of our products in China. We can't get them back here. We buy a lot of products in China. We can't get back here. And tonight, the reason why the stock market is down 200 points after it fell 1,000 points last Friday is because Wall Street cannot assess how big the lockdowns may be internationally. Stagflation inflation, recession, all those very complicated words. Wall Street cannot assess the risk. But I can assess what I believe is going to happen with Jay Powell. He has no tools to get down inflation when it's caused by supply chain disruption. So what do I think you're going to have in 60 days from now? Hopefully in 60 days from now, Joe Biden will make that swath and cold inflation. Hopefully in 60 days from now, you're going to have good news that the situation is softening with the variant. But I think you're going to have higher interest rates. I think you're going to have higher interest rates, which is going to cost you more money to pay the car note, more money to pay the flexible mortgage at home, more money to pay the credit card debt, and yet it's going to still have inflation in the U.S. economy. That's why Joe Biden needs to make that swap from cola to inflation tonight when inflation is where it is. Now, what about the end of the year? Does Jay Powell have a tool to bring down inflation to 1.9% by the end of the year? Absolutely not. I believe that Jay Powell has absolutely no tools to bring down inflation to 1.9% when the inflation is not being caused by anything in the United States. It's being caused by the subvariant internationally. And if Jay Powell can nothing to solve the supply chain disruption internationally, then you're going to see inflation for a while. Now, what does this mean about Build Back Better Act as well? It all compounds because Build Back Better Act is now supported by stalling economic data. There's a lot of stalling economic data tonight for April 25th, 2022. And remember, when the data is stalling, when the economy is stalling, when we see the economy shrinking, then guess what? People want to do more stimulus. Tonight for April 25th, 2022, it looks a lot different than it did in April 25th, 2020. 2 years ago when this channel launched, and I wasn't covering the subject matter, but what was happening right then was Mitch McConnell said the U.S. economy is great. It wasn't great. And the Democrats saying the economy wasn't great. They were right. And that's why they won seats at the time. Tonight, the situation is that both Democrats and Republicans agree the economy is not good. And now suddenly they're both trying to do things to give you assistance. And that's why the situation is very fluid across the board. Let's look and see why this economy is not doing so well. First, we had that GDP number I just went over. It showed that we're stalling up 6.9% growth and we're shrinking to 4% later this year, or zero or negative number. Ouch. Number two, housing starts. Number of homes sold in the United States down 5 consecutive months. And that is among low-income homes, middle-class homes, and also high-end homes. And then mortgage rates continue to surge out of control, 5%. We do not have mortgage rates stabilized yet, and they continue to go higher. That is causing also more supply chain disruption. You want to go repair the home? You want to flip the home? You want to build a new home? You can't. It's too expensive. And we're not done there yet. The other issues at hand continue to cause disruption in the U.S. economy. Farmers having major problems with fertilizer coming from Vladimir Putin. Any products that run on gasoline, whether it's the auto industry running auto cars on gasoline-powered cars, or it's farmers with their tractor trailers. The oil is causing major cost burden on people trying to make a profit, and now they're having big problems reaching those profits. That's why Build Back Better Act has a lot more support tonight, folks, because there's literally bad data left and right. If there was ever a night for April 25th, 2022, where I see Wall Street simply going here, going there, up and down and over and around, it's tonight, because no one can assess where this economy is going. But I do have projections. My projections are we're heading into recession. We're heading into 2 years of recession starting next year, with several industries already in recession tonight, like housing and auto. I'm not alone in that projection, because Deutsche Bank said the same thing. Goldman Sachs, going into the weekend, said there's a 35% chance. And another U.S. bank today said there's over a 25% chance. The data continues to swirl, and that is why you need a Build Back Better Act. Now, the good news is that the President of the United States, while having too many press releases and too many press conferences about Ukraine, is staying on message for getting you money without Congress. Yes. The great news is that the President of the United States has sent out presidential forced stimulus checks that have landed by direct deposit. You heard me right. Let's recap. We have congressional forced stimulus that's sent out by Congress, by vote of Congress. That hasn't happened yet. Then we have presidential forced stimulus checks sent out by the president, by executive action. That has happened. And then we have state forced stimulus checks. Yes, This is exciting tonight, folks. And again, this is one that I have projected. Last Thursday, I announced that 2 states in the United States had revealed that they will be sending you out for stimulus checks. At the time of that recording, I said, get ready for more states. I said, it'll be a little bit of time, a couple of weeks, and you can hear more states. It wasn't a couple time. It wasn't a long time. It was 48 hours later. 48 hours later, 20 states announced they're doing much the same. Let's go over what's going on, and it brings us back to the earliest days of this channel in summer 2020. In summer 2020, we had a lot of videos about then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin saying that states have too much money. Nancy Pelosi at the time saying states are bankrupt. I said, no, they're not. I said they have a lot of extra money. In fact, California had fortunes of extra money. Ultimately, what Steve Mnuchin said to Nancy Pelosi is, you know what? We're going to solve it this way. Use or lose. Steve Mnuchin put a provision into the first stimulus package, which said if states have more money, they got to return it back to us from first stimulus. If you haven't used up all your first stimulus money, you return it back to the federal government. And that's what happened. Suddenly, states realized they had the money and they started returning it. Well, guess who used that provision again? His successor, Steve Mnuchin's successor, Janet Yellen. She put the provision in the third stimulus package of January 2021. Again, a use or lose provision. The concept is very simple. If you got money from a prior stimulus package, you use it or you return it back to the federal government. And what date is this one? This one is December 2022. Here's what you need to know tonight. Number one, every state was given the same amount of money based upon residents. It's based upon the number of residents in the state. Every state was given the same amount of money. So every Republican, every Democratic, every rich, every poor, every state was given the same amount of money. It doesn't matter where they're located. They got that money. Number two, every state still has money, in my opinion. And number three, this is the easiest one to project and predict, is that every state that has money will use it. No state is ever going to lose the money. So, with every state still having money, with every state set to use the money, what do you need to know across the board? Is that the states will start to analyze the situation and announce to you what they're going to do. And that's what's happened. We grew from 2 states last Thursday to now 20 states. And it's huge, big news. Let's go over the routing time on these checks. For you to get these checks, they need to send them out months ahead of time. They can't send them out in December because they're going to lose it. They can't send them out in November. They got to send them out in about October. That's number one. Number two, to send them out in October, they got to have it signed by the governor in that state by about September, August. That means the state legislature side, one side has to vote on it in July. The other side votes it in June. The whole state department, whether it's the governor or the legislature, signs this in May. Here we go. We're right at the present. That is why you're going to see these announcements in the next few days. Now, let me make things clear to you. States are different than the federal government. If the governor is in one political party, likely all the rest of the legislatures in his party are the same. Let's say that another way. If the governor is a Republican, generally the governor also controls the state assembly and the state senate. So if the state governor wants to do something, they can do it. And they get it done. Translation, if you hear something announced, it's likely to happen. Remember, every state has the same amount of money based upon the number of citizens. Every state's going to use the money. No state's going to return the money. So get ready for a lot of money. What happened in less than 48 hours? What happened is that the states started to look at their funds and started to determine what they're going to do. Of those 20 states, 10 have passed bills. The other 10 have proposed bills. The bills range from an actual hard check to a refund check to a credit when you buy something, very different from every state. And how do you find all this? You find it the easiest way. It's coming up after the commercial break. But let me explain why this happened. It started with Governor Wolf in Pennsylvania. And Governor Wolf was the first one to really say this. And he said, you know what, we have money. We shouldn't have this money sitting around. We deserve to get that money to our citizens. And that comment was very clear at the time because guess what? You needed the money, and no one was going to sit around and wait for the money when it was there. What did the governor say at the time? Tom Wolf, Pennsylvania's governor, said Pennsylvania shouldn't have to choose between paying for utilities and groceries, struggling for childcare or gas. We have the opportunity, meaning we have the cash in the bank, and the means to ensure that they're not struggling, to ensure their success, sending the money. I'm asking for the General Assembly to unite across the aisle for the sake of every Pennsylvanian, for when they succeed or Commonwealth succeeds, let's get this money out of the bank account of the state and into the pockets of the Pennsylvanians. $2,000 stimulus check is what he has proposed. Again, states have the money. States will spend the money. They're not going to return it. All that states have to determine is how much money they have sitting around. When they announce it, they're going to do it. It's not like the federal government, and they also have a deadline to get that money out. $2,000 is the number in the case of Pennsylvania. In the case of Maine, it was $500 to $850. Those are the first 2 days of Thursday and Friday last week. Then it grew to 20 states. You're going to see more states. Which states are they? They're coming up in just a second. Meantime, also handing by direct deposit into your wallet are presidential forced stimulus checks. It is huge, and it's coming up in the second half of this video. And then out of nowhere came those other big financial windfalls, big financial successes, which are student loan debt forgiveness. Out of nowhere, the President of the United States has now done 6 executive student loan debt forgiveness orders in 7 days. What are they? Let me go over the exciting details of this 7 stimulus. Yes, 3rd, 4th, and 7th stimulus are all happening at the same time. The President of the United States initially had said that he wanted to forgive all student loan debt, but then wasn't really on point for a while. That changed very quickly. Where are we tonight? We had the best comment of all of them going into last weekend when the press secretary Joe Biden said the President of the United States still has on the table forgiveness of all student loan debts. Yes, you heard me right. Forgiveness of all student loan debts. Days before that, what did the president do? First, he forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, students who went to work in the nonprofit or public sector. Then, early last week, the president said, I'm rolling over your student loan debt repayment period. So you don't have to pay them in May. I'll let you pay them late in September. That was step number 1. Then the president said, if your debt is in default, I'll put it in good standing. Wow, we weren't done there, because then the president said, for those individuals who have debt as a result of fraud committed against them by the university, I'm going to forgive their debts completely. Oh my goodness. And then the big one came out of nowhere when the Secretary of Education said, get ready. We're going to do exactly what? Again, Lalate had predicted days earlier. Where did this projection come from? It came easily from another person. His name is King. He was the education secretary under Biden. John King said that Joe Biden knows he can forgive student loan debts because we passed those laws under Barack that allows the executive branch to forgive student loan debts. Days later, what happened? Days later, what happened is that Joe Biden's education secretary, Miguel Cardona, said, you know what? Start changing the statutes. Start changing the statutes or using statutes to change the loans so that the loans can be forgiven. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to loans, but apparently it's helping because one viewer got $9,000 of his loans forgiven, except Sean Meyer. Another viewer as well is about $5,000. Every day another person has a success story. If you have any success story for rent, utilities, or student loan forgiveness, post in the live chat right now. Here are the words I want you to write down. These come from the education subsecretary to Miguel Cardona. His name is James Cavall. First, we're looking at ongoing rulemaking to take a closer look at what the statute should qualify for the IDR credit. Write that down, IDR credit. They're trying to use that language to modify it and rule and then give you some forgiveness. And then there may be potential for us to improve these rules as the process goes forward. Number 2, write down these words. Public service loan forgiveness. We're looking at making changes under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program so several thousands of other borrowers can get, write this down, income-based repayment programs. Huge. So they're trying to modify the language so more things qualify across the board. Does it look familiar? It does look familiar. It's exactly what we talked about 2 times early in this recording. First, Joe making that phone call to agriculture saying you need to pay more for money for SNAP. Then Joe making that phone call, which he needs to do, hasn't done it yet, to Department of Social Security to swap your COLA swap your benchmark from COLA to inflation. And now when we're talking about student loan debt forgiveness, by changing the qualification and the language of the statute, this is also simple. And what is the consistent theme about it? It's just Joe and his agencies. It's just Joe and his agencies. As I look back over the last 2 years, one of the things that absolutely made no sense, and I still to this day have no answer about it, was when I was recording outside in summer 2020. I told you there was billions of dollars sitting around unused from first stimulus, mostly in SBA. And it will give you enough for 2 stimulus checks. All that Donald Trump had to do is call up Javeda Carranza, these respective agencies, and send out the money. The money was confirmed. Mnuchin confirmed the money was sitting there. Larry Kudlow confirmed the money was sitting there. All that Donald Trump had to do is send out the money. You would have that check before you voted, and you may have voted differently if someone sent you a big $4,000 check before election night. He didn't, and guess what happened? Use or lose. The money got returned to Steve Mnuchin, and it went right back into Treasury. No one could ever use it again. Tonight, Joe Biden has done something a little bit better. He has looked at Build Back Better and taken checks out of it. That is better. Taking those checks out of it and sent them out to you. These are presidential forced stimulus checks. 1, their law. Oh boy, I love saying that. Their law. 3, they've landed. Oh, I love saying that. And the other better words to say, they've landed by direct deposit. How do you get these big new forced stimulus, presidential forced stimulus checks? They're coming up in the second half of this video. Plus, we look back at those state forced stimulus checks. Then we look over to 6 stimulus. Yeah, you heard the news over the weekend. Macron was reelected in France. Emmanuel Macron reelected in France. This is huge for 6 stimulus. What does it mean for you and your wallet? I have the latest details on that. Then I have a preview of what's coming up in that 1-hour special broadcast. It's a 1-hour anniversary show that comes right after this special 1-hour breaking news show you're watching right now. A lot coming up in the second half of this video. A lot coming up over the next hour. We're just getting started for a 2-hour special, for a 2-hour anniversary. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, first, here's a little bit about the community page if you need assistance for questions. Here's the member community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As a big Evenings LA heats up with brand new checks landing by direct deposit, it can't be better. Yeah, it can, as more checks are likely to be announced in the next few days. Which ones are those? I'll feature those as well in the second half. We're just getting started, but here's a little bit about the member community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues in a big second half of Evenings Lalate. You're watching a 2-hour special report. And over this 2-hour special report, we're first going to go over your money on Evenings Lalate, and then we go into a 1-hour anniversary special. Oh boy, all you got to do is sit here, get your popcorn ready, your wavable check, your lobster dip, your lobster teeny, and you're ready to rock and roll. But in the second half of this video, we're going to go right into those checks, and boy, they're great. If you learned something over the last few weeks, you've learned the ability to send out checks does not come just from Congress. Don't ask when the vote is, because other people can send you checks, and they have. In this second half of this video, we're going to go over those 4 stimulus checks that have landed by direct deposit. And the first one we're going to go over are the states. How do you get these 4 stimulus checks? Where do you get them? What are they? And what's happening? Here you go. We are ramping up with a lot of states, and we're growing to 20 states in just 48 hours. My projection is you'll see a lot more states in the next few days. You could arguably see nearly every single state giving you stimulus checks. Remember, it does not depend on the richness or the poorness of the state. It does not depend on whether the governor is Republican or Democrat. It just depends on how much money they haven't used. And my projections, all the states still have money left. It just depends on how much money is left. For example, in the case of Kentucky, one of the perceived poorest states and most Republican states, they've confirmed they're giving out a check. I have the latest details on all that, but what do you need to know? First, what you need to know is that starting last Thursday, for the first time ever, I started to include the fourth stimulus, states sent stimulus checks by direct deposit in the newsletter. Yes, the newsletter last Thursday ramped up and now included state stimulus and will continue every night thereafter. Each night, this membership newsletter will now feature every single state that has proposed a stimulus relief to you or has passed a stimulus relief to you. First, it'll detail the state, then it'll say whether it's law or not law, and then it'll say what it is, and then it'll say how do you get it or whether you have to do anything to get it or whether it just comes from all its citizens. It's important to understand that in the case of states, it's a little bit different than the federal government. If they propose something, it happens. Generally, because generally the governor who proposes it is also the party in control and also gets the whatever he or she wants in his state assembly done. So there you go. Want to know what your state is paying? Want to know how your state is paying it? Want to know how you get it? Become a member. Go to the top of the channel, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday. Go right in there to find, yes, this is Check D. This is Check D, the brand new check that features the state sent for stimulus checks. When we talk about stimulus, there's always so many places where it can come from, and this one is the one that comes from the states. So much issues across the board, and you don't want to miss those checks. That is Check D. So become a member, get that incredible newsletter across the board. Now, what is really exciting is that the president has understood the importance of the midterm elections, and so he has sent out presidential forced stimulus checks. Wow, huge. They're landing by direct deposit. They're presidential fourth stimulus executive order checks, and they are huge. And there's a lot of brand new ones tonight. Let's start with the first one. $6,500 to $12,000 presidential forced stimulus check has gone out, landed by direct deposit. How do you get it? What is it? Let's go over the details of it right now. A $6,500 check was originally supposed to be in the Build Back Better Act. But what did the President of the United States do? He took it out of the Build Back Better Act and he made it law. And that became a law just weeks ago. It is what we call on this channel Check A. It is a $6,500 to $12,000 check in some states. It's forced stimulus, made law by executive order by Joe Biden. What is the income qualification? Let's go over the details right now. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. If you're on benefits, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, you can get it as well. What is this forced stimulus check called that's landing by direct deposit? It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. And how do you get it? It's so simple, as Carol says. She says, LA, you make it so simple on your channel. First, you want to become a member. Then, open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. Go right into the first few lines. It'll feature the price of wheat, grain, and corn tonight, and then, check A, yes. You'll see a link to go into the national website. Click the link. Then you'll see your state, Mississippi. Go to the Mississippi Weatherizing Grant Check, and there you go. Pounce and get it by direct deposit. Check B is even bigger. Also sent out by Joe Biden. A presidential forced stimulus check landing, and it is huge. First, how much? $15,000 to $80,000. The average payout to viewers of this channel, $66,000 to $80,000. Second, it's a forced stimulus check. It's law. Third, it's called the Homeowners Grant Check. Fourth, the income qualification is the same as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. If you're on benefits, yes, you can get it like other people on benefits have gotten it as well. How do you get this check? You want to go into the membership newsletter, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Open that membership newsletter, look for check A right under it. It's so easy. Check B, because B is after A. You click the link and it sends you into the nationwide website. You're going to see a map like this. Then choose your state like New Mexico and then pounds. Once you apply and you are approved within hours, then you get funded within a week. The wait time is slowing down because it's been a while that this program has been open, but get those big checks across the board. And that, my friends, are the presidential fourth stimulus checks, but we're not done there because guess what? I got other checks for you, and these checks are even more. These are MSC checks of $24,000, $2,000 a month over 12 months averaging, and it's absolutely incredible. It was not my creation. It was founded by viewers just like you. Let's go over how we got to this point. In December 2020, millions of Americans were suffering. The pandemic was ravaging out of control. First stimulus had ended. There was no second stimulus just yet. We were trying to get CR for stimulus done, but it wasn't time yet. And you needed money. It was the holidays. So I stepped forward and I found people money because that's my job. And I found it. $250,000, not a lot at the time, but it's enough. Tyrone, his family 4 out of Boston, got $15,000, paid all his rent from December to February. It really helped a lot of people in a time of need, that little amount of money. But we had a big document, and that big document was a big surprise. It was exclusive I got of a document I called third stimulus. I coined the expression, just like I coined the expression for fourth stimulus, fifth stimulus, sixth, and seventh stimulus. I said, this has the same amount of money, the same types of monies that you're getting right now. It also has rent and utilities and mortgage assistance. The only difference is it's a lot more money. I said, if this becomes law, you're going to clean up. And it did. It did. It became third stimulus. And when it pounced, when it became law, I told viewers to pounce. I said, get on average $15,000. They did not get $15,000. They did not get $15,000. They averaged $45,000. Let's look at the incredible success stories that the viewers had at the time, and they continue to have at the time. If you've had success stories then or now, post in the live chat because you inspire countless viewers. Let's look at the success stories that viewers had from this third stimulus that bred MSC. $20,000 to $27,000 for rent. Let's look at utilities. Whoa. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Let's look at the SNAP. Oh my goodness. Mark's brother-in-law got $25,000 a year. Over 10 years, it's going to be $250,000. Let's look at the combos. We're just not done there yet. Here's Mark. Then Mark went to $50,000. Then he went to $100,000. Then he went to $166,000. Let's look at Rain. She was at $105,000, and then she went to $120,000. So many success stories over the last 2 years. We had Johnny, who I featured on so many videos. He had gotten $45,000 from 3 programs in 3 days between Monday and Friday. But he heard me saying, do not stop. He did not stop. By the end of the week, he got $80,000 from 15 phone calls and 50% rejection rate. Then he helped 2 family members, each get $50,000. Then his neighbors came over and said, I heard you're watching that new kid, Lalate. Can you help me? He did. And he got them close to $500,000. So how do you get this money? And what is this money? This is Check C. You're going to reach out to a series of places to get this big sums of money. Let's go over the details of it right now. It's so simple. You can make the call. You have the phone. You have the pen. You have the paper. Get ready to pounce. I'm ready for you to do it. Let's reach out. Let's go over the places where you reach out to get these big sums of money. You're going to reach out to the following: your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. 3 things you must do. You must say the key words. You must reach out to all 6 places. And you must do multiple rounds, plus lean on those nonprofits. Now, let's make it very clear. If you're a member, you're not going to reach out to 6 places. You're going to reach out to 15 plus places because the membership newsletter features other places, which are the nonprofits. The nonprofits are in that membership newsletter and rely on them because they'll help you with a lot of other sums of money. Then, go get these big sums of money right now. Do not wait. Why would you wait? You deserve every penny. Get these big checks today. You deserve them, and those are yours. The average payout of this channel is $45,000. Get these big checks today. Pounds. Don't wait. These are your MSCs you've always wanted. These are your MSCs you've always wanted, but they're from third stimulus. $2,000 a month over 12 months. $24,000 up to $45,000. You saw Lorraine and John and Mark far more than $45,000. Get these checks. How do you get this? Want to take notes on it? You don't have to. It's all in the membership newsletter. As Carol said, Elliot, you make it so simple for viewers. You put it in a concise way. So, what do? You become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Go to the top of this chat. Go to the pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. 10 o'clock Eastern and 9 o'clock Central. Also, ensure that you subscribe and hit your alerts right. So, go to the front of this channel, hit that subscribe button. Then there's a little bell. Hit the bell and make all notifications set to all notifications. And then the exciting news. Yes, Emmanuel Macron re-elected in France. This is big for six stimulus. Six stimulus is that trifecta: Germany, France, United States. What's at issue? We don't want to go in a recession, and we will go in recession. We don't solve the situation for oil or wheat. We don't have a consistent message out of Germany. As Germany said wasn't going to get off of Russian oil, then said would, then saying won't. But there's more than just oil that's at issue, because guess what? The price of oil is still too high because the number of oil's barrels being replaced from Vladimir Putin is not working. We're missing 3 million barrels a day because of Vladimir Putin. And how many have we replaced? 1.5 at most. 1 million barrels a day from the U.S. strategic reserves released domestically, and then 500,000 barrels a day from the Western allies. So we're short 1.5 million barrels a day. That's why the price of gasoline is high. It ain't coming down until we solve the situation. That is why we really needed Macron, and this really helps us. Macron will lead on Germany because Germany and Macron are part of that team. And of course, Germany and Macron were trying to get the JCPOA deal done with Iran. I think that is where we're going to solve it. That JCPOA deal would release millions of barrels of gasoline per day from Iran, with Iran promising to disarm its nuclear warheads. Great news, but they haven't gotten it done. I think that Macron back on point, being reelected, is big news for us. But it's not just wheat. We also have not just oil. It's also the situation with wheat. The invasion of Ukraine has caused a major disruption of what's called the bread belt, that whole Ukrainian peninsula of the Black Sea. And now we have a shortage of bread, grain, wheat internationally, and that's caused the prices to surge, and we're not then there yet. At least 40% more on the upside. What's also coming up? Right after this video, you don't have to do anything. Don't even have to lift a finger. You're automatically direct deposited right into our 1 hour anniversary special. In this 1 hour anniversary special coming up right after this video, you don't have to touch anything. It'll automatically start right after this video is over. You'll see 30 minutes of anniversary special and then 30 minutes behind the scenes. The Making of Lalate, hosted by me and Sirloin. It's a video you've never seen, the two of them. It's a 1 hour special, all right after this video. The 2-year anniversary special of Lalate. From my family to your family, I deeply thank you for all your patronage over the last 2 years. We've had highs and the lows. We've had times where we thought things weren't going to happen, then they did happen. We had times where we thought it wasn't going to be this, and it was that. We had times where we thought it was going to get better, and it got worse. Things change. Who would have known that when we came out of the variant, when we came out of Delta COVID, that we would have the subvariant of Omicron causing lockdowns for international economies in now April 2022. This channel launched on April 20th when the entire Southern California area was on lockdown. What could happen in the next few months? For now, I'm projecting that 2 years of recessions will start in the U.S. economy starting next year, that several industries are already in recession tonight. But what's after that? We shall see. Housing and auto, in my opinion, is already in recession. The rest of the U.S. economy is going into 2 years of recession. But while it's important to help countries in time of need, it's also important to focus on this economy. And I hope that the president, I hope that the Congress, I hope that the leaders understand that what we learned from 2020 and 2021 is don't underestimate and don't overestimate. I think the use or lose provision is one of the best provisions we've seen in the U.S. government. Send extra money, and if you don't need it, then it gets returned. It's very, very straightforward. Don't wait to send the money, because when you wait to send the money, problems erupt. The good news tonight, direct depositing of 4 stimulus checks from the President of the United States, direct depositing of 4 stimulus checks from the states, and we're just getting started, because in the next 30 days is going to be a rapid-fire month with a lot of changing developing details. It's likely to continue through early August, because this time around, the parties are very close between Republican and Democrats on the positioning to get you money. It's unlike 2020 when the narrative was don't give money or do give money. This time is to give the money, but to whom and how quickly? When it happens here. And I'll have all the details for you throughout the day. And with that, stay with this video, stay with this channel. This video will automatically take you to the 1-hour special 2-hour anniversary show. From the shores of Santa Monica, from my family to your family, thank you for the 2 years of patronage, and let's get ready for the next 2 years to come. Stay informed and stay focused. Don't forget to become a member, and stay with LA for more.